Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I am Adebola Adeduba. The headlines. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike vows to chase criminals out of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. DR Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi to be sworn in for a new term before huge crowd. Chad's new Prime Minister promises elections will be held on time. Details shortly. News Central now at this hour begins in West Africa, where the Nigerian government says it will provide more police stations at crime-prone areas within the Gwagwalada Area Council of Abuja. This followed requests by stakeholders to Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, during a town hall meeting, which they appraised the state of the insecurity in the area with an aim of tackling the menace of kidnapping. Amadine Uyi reports.
It was the second stakeholder security meeting, but this time held at the Gwagwalada Area Council of Abuja. The meeting had in attendance stakeholders from the area, including members of the traditional council. The FCT Minister Nyesom Wike gave assurances, saying he is committed to tackling the menace of kidnapping in the area.
If you don't say you be one of the people where they give information to these criminals, if you don't say you be one of the criminals too, your time don't reach. Your time don't do anything. You don't reach. Me and the security agency, we will follow the assault. I'm not going near Gwagwalada again.
Stakeholders gave suggestions on immediate measures needed to be taken to reduce insecurity affecting citizens.
We have some undeveloped structures in Gwagwalada Area Council, in which I, the executive chairman of Gwagwalada, will write to your office for approval, at least because this is the area. Most of the criminals will hide, and the night they'll come out to do what they're not supposed to do. If you leave these structures uncompleted, I believe, and we all know that is the areas those criminals will hide and do a wonderful thing to us. We need more police division in Gwagwalada Area Council. We have only 2 police divisions in Gwagwalada Area Council. We have division in Zupa, we have division in Gwagwalada Area Council, Gwagwalada here. I don't know, we'll write to you, and I know if you write to you, at least order the Commissioner of Police to give us more police division in order for them to at least do a very wonderful work to us.
The minister promised that measures will be taken, including providing logistics and equipment to help tackle the menace of kidnapping.
The person where they represent CP, where they here, well, in the here. Now make you go tell CP, make him work out how we can provide 2 more police stations for Gwagwalada. Make you not do it like saying a normal government job, but this one now quick, we go do it. I know therefore say today bring 5, tonight they bring 5. This one now security matter. President don't give me power. Make I buy plenty motor, plenty. As I speak to her, before next week, every police station went there for the 6 area councils will give for them more vehicles. We also give for them other communication gadgets. What I will take the work to make sure say these people will not give them chance again.
He also urged residents of the area to support security operatives with intelligence information to help nip kidnapping and other vices in the bud. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
In the meantime, with the menace of kidnapping in the FCT now appearing to be a daily occurrence, about 3 people were allegedly abducted at the Nigeria Army Police Service estate in the Kurudu area of the Federal Capital Territory. While the military is yet to release any information on the incident, residents of the area say they now live in fear over the rising insecurity in the FCT in the light of the invasion of criminal elements on the military estate. Idong Joseph has details.
I am standing here at the Kurudu community in Abuja, and you can see behind me is the Kurudu post-army housing estate, where it was reported that gunmen about 9 p.m. yesterday night invaded an extension of the estate, abducting 3 persons. Though we've gone into the estate to get a feel of the atmosphere, but met heavy military presence, which they denied us coverage of the scene. And so we have come out on the streets to get a reaction of residents within the area. After every effort at getting residents in and around the estate to speak to us on camera, some of them confirmed that they had gunshots but refused to speak out of fear. However, we soon got a resident of the estate who later agreed to speak, but on the condition of anonymity.
It's not a small gun battle yesterday. It was a serious gun battle. So it's serious gun battle between those kidnappers and the soldiers, because the soldiers intervened immediately. That is why it was even not more, even though it would have been more.
A former commissioner of police who spoke to News Central called for a joint operational force between the FCT and its bordering states.
FCT and other contiguous states, that is Nasarawa, Niger, Kaduna, and they should have this form a joint operational network where they can be collaborating together, secure their borders, and assist each other. I will also recommend that if the FCT chooses to establish a police security trust fund in FCT, because most of the major challenge the police is facing today is paucity of funds.
He also called for reform of the police in areas of welfare, provision of equipment, and provision of adequate manpower.
So population growth also is expanding, while the police man strength is depleting through retirement, through other things like debt and so forth. So I think the government need to increase the strength of the police, government need to fund the police, government need to so that the police are well paid and well catered for, their welfare is improved. And when you have a motivated police force, the perform better.
Though the goal of ensuring the safety of lives and property lies in the hands of the government, citizens also have been advised to support the police with relevant information. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
And now let's take a quick detour to talk about economy. The World Bank has estimated that improved access to internet coverage over 3 years led to a 7% reduction in extreme poverty in Nigeria and Tanzania. Now, this was disclosed in a new brief titled Digital Transformation Drive Development in Africa, noting that the exposure has also led to an increase of 8% in labor force participation and wage employment. World Bank Chief Economist for Africa, Andrew Dabalin, said the minimal usage of mobile internet is a lost opportunity for inclusive growth in Africa. Closing the uptake gap would increase the continent's potential to create jobs for its growing population and boost economic recovery in a highly digitized world. And to talk about this, I've been joined live on the news by Dr. Samson Simon, Chief Economist at ARC Economics and Data Limited. Good afternoon from here. Glad to have you join me.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Nigerians.
All right. In the light of the World Bank's claim of 7% reduction in extreme poverty in Nigeria, due to improved internet access, what factors would you say, might contribute to this skepticism among Nigerians who don't see a significant reduction in poverty?
I remember reading the headline this morning, and I jokingly told myself, you don't want me, why will you say poverty has reduced by 7% when we know that there is a cost of living crisis? But when I read the story, I was made to understand it's not like poverty in Nigeria has reduced. I remember not long ago, the same World Bank said because of high inflation, more and more Nigerians are falling below the poverty line. And this inflation is still there. So what has actually happened is that those people living in extreme poverty if somebody is living in extreme poverty and that person has access to the internet for 3 or more years, then the ranks of those people living in extreme poverty will be reduced by 7%. That's what that study is saying. And it perfectly makes sense. We are not saying that the number of poor people in Nigeria has reduced, no. But those people that are living in absolute poverty, those people that are living in extreme poverty, those people that are even to feed, to have potable drinking water, to live in a clean environment is a problem. But if you give them access to the internet, the number of those people in that particular rank would be reduced by 7%. So it perfectly makes sense to me.
Oh, so are you saying, or would you say that the World Bank methodology, when it comes to measuring poverty reduction, is reliable?
The World Bank is an authority, and they don't just put out numbers there without making sure that the number has gone through all the rigors required for it to stand the mildest scrutiny. In fact, the fiercest scrutiny. And this methodology is in order. I know that is arbitrary in the sense that you're using the same method or methodology for everybody. But the World Bank is a global body. You don't expect them to have methodology for Nigeria different from methodology for India. If you do that, there is no basis for comparison. So the only way you can compare two things, if they have the same unit, if you use the same methodology to measure a particular metric. So the methodology is in order in my view.
All right, Dr. Simon, I mean, do you think variations in economic development, infrastructure, or even other factors influence the perception of poverty alleviation?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, I was asking if you think variations in economic development, infrastructure, and also even other factors influence the perception of poverty alleviation.
Of course, some of these things are not the same in the sense that somebody living in Lekki in Lagos, which you all know is a highbrow area, cannot be compared with somebody living, let's say, in a place where I come from, they call it Karel. It's not going to be the same. The infrastructure will not be the same. The accessibility will not be the same. Even the affordability of internet facilities will not be the same, even for a security man in Lekki. So this infrastructure, they matter. And the Minister of Digital Economy is working assiduously to make sure that there is enough infrastructure on ground, particularly when it comes to broadband, because they are limited mainly within cities in Nigeria. Those people in the hinterland also need that. So this infrastructure is key to helping people to beat poverty because of access to internet.
So to what extent do you think digital divide, including disparities in internet accessibility between the urban and rural areas, could impact the effectiveness of poverty reduction in Nigeria?
The accessibility in urban areas is more, and even the affordability. Those people in urban areas can afford the internet more, and even the internet service available, those people in urban areas, is more robust. So there's a need for being intentional about ensuring that not only people that are living in urban areas or urban centers have access to robust internet. Not only people living in urban areas can afford broadband. It should be available, it should be readily available, and it should not just be limited to urban centers. Not only Lagos and Abuja or Port Harcourt. Even people in rural areas, they have that access. And that will go a long way. As a government, I think I will try to do that. And I think the minister is not doing badly, though I know it's more of talk for now. We are yet to see the actual action. But I believe that a lot can be done in that aspect, in that regard.
Yeah. Now, given the importance of inclusive growth, what policy recommendations would you propose to ensure that the benefits of improved internet access, translate more to effectively reducing poverty across the Nigerian population?
The state, the Nigerian state, the government at the center, and even subnationals have to be very intentional. As a government, you can only go as far. Things like all this social investment, they can only go as far. They will hardly lift people out of poverty. But when you provide the enabling environment, for all comers, that will go a long way. And as a government, they have to be very intentional about ensuring that almost all Nigerians have access to the internet. At the moment, more than 80% of us have access to the internet. But not everybody has access to high-speed internet, and that's key. Mobile internet is very important. So as a matter of policy, they have to aggressively pursue that broadband is spread all over, and more Nigerians can afford internet. The minister said that internet is very affordable in Nigeria. I feel there's nothing wrong with making it more affordable, because not everybody considers something cheap that the minister considers cheap. So as a matter of policy, it should be made more affordable for people. I think that will go a long way in giving people access, in giving people opportunities, and in ensuring that they become more creative, more innovative, and more informed in taking decisions. And that will go a long way in eliminating or even eradicating poverty for a lot of people.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Samson Simon, Chief Economist at ARCS Economics and Data Limited. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
You're watching News Central now. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. Following the recent forceful arrest of a guest from a live studio in Umuahia by some men of Abia State Police Command, the Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Chukwu Onwemile, has ordered the orderly room trial and commensurate sanction if found guilty. The said police officers had stormed the online television and radio station in Umuahia to effect the arrest of a guest and ended up damaging some studio gadgets. Chiwo Gele reports that since the incident, there have been reactions from various quarters.
Nobody do anything.
You're a criminal.
What did I do? Who did I say anything for?
It was a viral video that drew the attention of the security, media, and civil society groups. A young graduate from the university, Bernard Udensi, who was whisked away from the studio by some 4 policemen, says he was shocked at the police action.
I think the lack of understanding of the Nigerian police investigation. Without investigating a crime, you're already calling somebody a criminal. It's against the law. So I was surprised to hear such.
So them coming in to, the accusation that I was giving a criminal an audience on a live program was terrible. Like, it's like a defamation of my character.
He said he sustained injury during the unwarranted confrontation and revealed that the matter had been resolved peacefully.
I really want to specially thank the Commissioner of Police in Abia State for his fair judgment and to seek that justice stand.
The Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Chukwu Onwemile, visited the studio to assess the situation and concluded that his officers were unprofessional in their conduct. In the statement signed by the Police Public Relations Officer, Maureen Chinaka, the Commissioner of Police apologized to the management of the media outfit and promised to work towards achieving a rule of law compliant police. On his part, the state chairman of Nigerian Union of Journalists, Mr. Victor Ndukwe, condemned the act, which he said is capable of sabotaging the Freedom of Information Act.
The style in Abia State, which has become a regular occurrence, where the police or any law enforcement agents will go to the station or any media house to damage equipment, to arrest somebody or to intimidate somebody for whatever reason, it's a no-no for us. It shouldn't be happening in any part of Nigeria, let alone Abia State. And we condemn that, and we are saying that it should stop forthwith.
And the best thing to do is having what we call a democratic approach to issues. You need to negotiate, you need to have a conversation. It's only when somebody has been proven guilty that you can call the person a kidnapper and armed robber. But until then, you don't have that right to label somebody a kidnapper or an armed robber.
The studio is like the sacred room of the media and should be respected by all, including security men. In Umuahia,
the headquarters of 6th Division, Nigerian Army, Port Harcourt, has uncovered 14 crude oil reservoirs containing about 3 million liters of stolen crude in Odagwa, Eche, in Eche local government area of Rivers State. The reservoir had 49 boilers used in refining stolen crude. General Officer commanding 6th Division, Nigerian Army, Port Harcourt, Jamal Abdulsalam, while conducting newsmen around the reservoirs located in the thick forest of Odagwa Eche, said he wants Nigerians to know exactly what is happening. Abdulsalam adds that through credible intelligence, officers of the division were able to discover about 14 reservoirs that contained upward of about 200,000 liters of crude oil in the forest. Earlier, Engineer Biokpa Awara, former AAC governorship candidate, Rivers State, joined us to further talk about this.
I'm not just from Rivers State. I'm from an oil-producing community called Kola that has about 4 flow stations. So I actually have come across several places that you can virtually see that oil bunkering or oil theft is being done. Because my community is not, we don't get to my community by road. We enter boats from Abonima to Kola. So driving through the river, you virtually see the oil pollution everywhere.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has approved the reappointment of Dr. Bayero Farah as Director General and Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, Zaria, for a second 4-year term. The reappointment notice was contained in a letter signed by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akome. According to him, the reappointment is in accordance with the provisions of the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology Act 1986 laws of the Federation of Nigeria. He said Farah possessed track records of sterling and exceptional performance, which led to the massive and unprecedented transformation of the Institute to its unrivaled status since inception in 1986. And now to some politics. Nigeria's Supreme Court has affirmed the victories of 5 state governors, dismissing appeals seeking to remove them from office. The Apex Court, while dismissing the appeals for lack of merit, held that the various appellants in the suit were unable to prove their cases of overvoting and non-compliance with the nation's electoral laws. Marvelous Obomanu was there and now reports.
Have you ever wondered what victory tastes like and the resounding echoes that it brings with it? These are party faithful, celebrating the recent Supreme Court judgment affirming the election victories of the governors of Kebbi, Gombe, Delta, Ogun, and Nasarawa states of Nigeria. What this means is that unsatisfied candidates and their parties who have challenged the election outcomes from the lower court up to the Supreme Court can now sheath their swords, as the judgment is binding on all. The Apex Court held that the appellants were unable to prove their case of overvoting and non-compliance with the nation's electoral laws and lacked merit.
We started the battle from the tribunal, and God gave us victory at the tribunal. God gave us victory at the Court of Appeal. And ultimately, thankfully, today, the Supreme Court has confirmed the judgment of the tribunal and confirmed the judgment of the Court of Appeal.
This victory actually is not for me. The victory is for democracy. The victory is for the good people of Nasarawa State. And by the grace of God, this is a victory that we can carry on to continue with the good work of Mr. President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our party, and it's a victory for mankind.
This victory means that we have reached the final bus stop with regards to the issue of election of the 2023 elections. And with no other place to go to, I call on all the appellants, because there were 2, and their parties, to join with us and work for the people of Gombe State.
Kebbi State doesn't belong to only ABC members, it's for all of us. And we're calling for all and sundry in Kebbi State to join hands with the government of Comrade Nasir Arongondu so that we can move the nation forward.
I also want to thank my brother,
Honorable Isa Ashuru for approaching the court to ventilate his grievances. For me, that is democracy way. But having concluded today, I believe it is a high time for us to join hands together to work together for the progress of Kaduna State.
The legal contentions surrounding the election victories of governors of Ogun, Kebbi, Delta and Nasarawa states have now been put to rest by the nation's apex court. It is expected that the governors who had already started functioning in office can now concentrate and get to work and deliver governance to its people. It will also be beneficial for the governors in their respective states to reach out to opposition candidates, build bridges for the good of all. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomanu.
And still on politics in southern Nigeria, a Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oborowori, says he was confronted with 38 cases and won all before, during and after governorship election. He said these at an interdenominational Thanksgiving service held at the government chapel, Asaba, to mark his Supreme Court victory. Austin Azu completes this report.
Governor Oborowori, who arrived at the Asaba airport after the Supreme Court verdict, was received by political bigwigs and various support groups of the PDP in the state. The governor thereafter made his way to the State House, where he appreciated God for his victory. In his remarks, Governor Oborowori recounted how he was confronted with dozens of cases and won all. He extended the olive branch to other political parties in the state to join hands to move the state forward and promised that he will continue to run all-inclusive government. He observed that he will remain a servant leader that will focus on the people first with a small agenda. Governor Oborowori, who also spoke to newsmen shortly after the Thanksgiving, commended the judiciary for remaining the last hope of the common man.
So this case, making it 38 cases, the highest in this country, pre-election matters and all the tribunal cases. There's no governor, even the one that have done 8 years, that they have 38 cases. And I won all the cases.
Meanwhile, the Inter-Party Advisory Council Delta State Chapter, in collaboration with CUPP and leaders of non-indigenes in the states, have congratulated the governor on his victory at the Apex Court.
This victory, indeed, is a testimony and a confirmation that Deltans really voted for Sheriff Oborowori, who emerged under the platform of the People Democratic Party.
Similarly, some residents also have message for the governor.
Advise the winners to accept the responsibility of taking care of the state and try to perform better than the previous government.
In every contest, there is a winner. Whoever emerges as governor should be celebrated and should be supported to perform very well as far as the governance of Delta State is concerned.
Now that the Supreme Court has put to rest all litigations regarding the 2023 governorship election, there might not be any reason for the governor to fail in delivering the leadership for which the people voted for him. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
You're live with News Central TV. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. Away from politics, Nigeria's Minister of State for Education has tasked citizens to take advantage of foreign scholarship opportunities, saying the nation's universities cannot offer admission to all students seeking university admission and placement. This was during a sensitization workshop for the European Union Erasmus Plus program in Abuja, where he revealed that less than 50% of students seeking to get into higher institutions in the country cannot secure admission in the available universities. Marvelous Obomano reports.
Erasmus Plus Postgraduate Scholarship Program is a transnational education program that offers Nigerian individuals the opportunity to pursue postgraduate programs in European countries with an aim to promote academic excellence, international collaboration, and cultural integration.
The Erasmus is also a life-changing experience with only one additional requirement, as I previously said, beyond, of course, the fundamentals, academic excellence, hard work. Be prepared to be citizen of the world. That's very important. It shows the great potential of European Union's Nigerian cooperation, which is a people and youth-centered cooperation for the future. It shows also, it demonstrates the concrete commitment of the European Union to creating opportunities for Nigerian youth.
At this sensitization workshop to commence the 2024 scholarship registration, Nigeria's Minister of State for Education says that Nigerian students have a lot to benefit from the program as it makes access to international education possible.
We also know that education is a very huge area that Nigeria cannot cover everything. There are some specific courses that are not available within the country by virtue of our level of development or economical access. And this scholarship will enable us to get students that will go there and specialize and also become experts that we may now use them later in future to develop our own local and indigenous faculties that will service Nigeria.
The program, beyond impacting knowledge, aims to create future leaders that will be self-reliant and look beyond white-collar jobs.
It's about an educated leader, a global citizen. And we see all these people as future influencers, as industry leaders, as think tank leaders, as technology leaders, as social entrepreneurs, as members of an academia of excellence.
Right now, the focus of the Ministry of Education is not to concentrate on white-collar job. And the white-collar job here is, to average Nigerian means government employment. No. We wanted to have individuals who are fully enough, have the capacity and skill to think out of our box. Our hope is that our graduate in the near future should not be employed, but be employer of it. See now, is something that will annoy you to see somebody with masters in computer education or sciences roaming the street without having anything to do, thereby looking for a job.
The EU says that it has awarded postgraduate scholarships to over 800 young Nigerians into the Erasmus programs since 2014. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
In Central Africa, President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, is to be sworn in for a second 5-year term on Saturday after sweeping elections, which the opposition has branded as a sham, calling for protests. With tensions simmering in the vast nation's volatile eastern provinces, the 60-year-old president, known as Fatshi, has picked Kinshasa's 80,000 capacity Matthias Sports Stadium for the ceremony. According to the authorities, 18 other heads of state will attend. His first swearing in January 2019, after controversially defeating Joseph Kabila, took place in the gardens of the Palace of Nations, a solemn venue that has traditionally staged important official events. Tshisekedi is the son of the late historic opposition figure, Etienne Tshisekedi. Staying in Central Africa, Chad's new Prime Minister, Success Masra, has presented his political program to a parliament made up of MPs appointed by the military regime. Among other promises, the former opposition leader vowed to make the timely organization of election the guiding principle of government action. Subject to a vote of confidence, Masra won 95.4% of the vote from the 173 deputies of the National Transitional Council. The 40-year-old economist returned from exile in November after reaching an agreement with the junta guaranteeing him of free exercise of his political activity.
Le respect du calendrier conduisant à l'organisation des élections dans les délais. En synergie donc avec la future Agence nationale de gestion des élections, nous ferons de la tenue des élections dans les délais impartis la boussole de l'action gouvernementale. Il s'agit de l'élection présidentielle, des élections législatives et sénatoriales, des élections communales et provinciales. Le rapatriement des œuvres d'art du Tchad et des archives coloniales se trouvant à l'étranger aussi, parce que les archives d'un pays, c'est sa mémoire, c'est son âme. Il s'agit de nos milliers d'œuvres d'art qui se trouvent aujourd'hui en France. Nous allons les rapatrier. Commencer à les rapatrier. Échanger pour les rapatrier. Mais aussi dans les collections privées, ainsi que le rapatriement et la numérisation et l'archivage, y compris électronique, pour certains de nos archives coloniales qui se trouvent aujourd'hui à Brazzaville.
The worst floods in 6 decades have left more than 350,000 people in need of urgent aid in the Republic of Congo, where many villages can be reached only by boat. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said extreme rainfall since October has led the banks around the Ubangi River, a tributary to the Congo River, to burst, leaving hundreds of thousands of people in need of humanitarian assistance. OCHA said the floods could also have long-term consequences, with the fall in agricultural output feared as 2,300 hectares of cultivated land were underwater.
That's the Congo, where Brazzaville is the capital. The United Nations is responding to a flood disaster unprecedented in scale for 6 decades and with hundreds of thousands of people in need of humanitarian assistance. More than 350,000 people urgently need humanitarian assistance, according to our assessment, but access is a challenge because of the floods, and many villages can only be reached by boat or canoe. 3 weeks later, 9 out of the country's 12 departments remain underwater, and a total...
You're watching News Central Now. Let's take a short break. Following a black man's permanent rectal injuries, a French court on Friday sentenced 3 police officers to suspended jail terms in an uncommon instance of police violence. Theo Luhaka was left disabled after suffering severe anal injuries from a police baton, as well as wounds to his head during a stop and search in the Paris suburb of Onlay-Saulsbourg in 2017. After more than 9 hours of deliberation, 34-year-old Marc Antoine, who was found guilty of a treason blow that injured Luhanka, received a 12-month suspended prison sentence. He's also banned from carrying a weapon and working on the street as a police officer for 5 years.
Nous prenons comme une victoire parce qu'elle vient dire une fois encore que Théo était victime ce jour-là, que rien ne justifiait qu'il ait été battu et que rien ne justifie chez lui qu'il soit autrement considéré que comme une victime. Donc, une décision d'apaisement, une décision de vérité.
And now to sports stories. President of Nigeria Football Federation, Ibrahim Gusau, hopes that the victory of the Super Eagles over Côte d'Ivoire will mark the beginning of future success for the team. Addressing the team after the win, Gusau conveyed the gratitude of the Nigerian people to the team and charged them to do more in their quest for a 4th African title. The Super Eagles are currently in the 2nd place in Group A, behind surprise leaders Equatorial Guinea. The team needs at least a draw with Guinea-Bissau in their final group game on Monday to seal their place in the 2nd round. And to talk about this, I'm being joined live on the news by Osage Kihe, a sport analyst. He talks to us for more on this. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me again.
Now, in the light of the NFF president, Ibrahim Gusau's optimism, what key factors in the Super Eagles' recent victory over Côte d'Ivoire do you believe indicate a positive trajectory for the team's future success?
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me once again. I think for me, really, it's about stability and progression. I know that the NFF president is optimistic of Nigeria's future performance, but looking at our recent history, we don't have anything to show that focus. If you look at somewhere like Senegal, the Senegal president, Augustin Senghor, since he came into power, Senegal are the defending African champions. Their under-17 team recently won the under-17 AFCON. Their under-20 team won the under-20 AFCON. Their coach, Ali Youssouffi, has been the coach of Senegal since 2015. So that stability is there. That progression is there. So that's something that we need to adopt into Nigeria for us to be able to even start to witness any sort of success like we experienced in the 90s when we had, a stable regime.
So considering the competitive landscape of international football, I mean, what challenges or even opportunities lie ahead for the Super Eagles, and how can they, as a team, capitalize on recent success to build a formidable and consistent presence?
It's funny you say recent success. Nigeria, I don't think we've been successful in the past 10 years. We won the AFCON in 2013, which is 11 years ago now. And it's really strange because if you look at the junior levels, we've qualified, we've won the Under-17 World Cup 5 times, gotten to 8 finals. And it's really strange that we've not been able to capitalize and transition this into the senior team. Because at the end of the day, it's age grade, and those guys that were at the Under-17 level those years should have been able to grow and, mature into a stage where the Super Eagles are contending on the world stage. Look at Morocco at the last World Cup. They've set the bar. African teams can't go past the quarterfinal. Morocco got to the semi-final. I think it's time for Nigeria to be able to move to that next level. But in order to move to that next level, we need to be focused. We need to stay ahead of the curve. We need to realize that, look, let these players merit their positions in the team. And those are the people that should be representing the country and wearing that jersey for the Super Eagles.
Okay, so what other adjustments or improvements would you recommend for the Super Eagles to enhance their chances, and remain much more competitive in the game?
Stability is very important. We haven't had a stable run of coaches. We haven't had a team. Look, international football is very difficult. It's difficult because your players tend to go away to their club sides and then only occasionally come into the national team. So it's very difficult to keep the same group of players to grow together, to play together. But what you can now do is have a stable backroom staff, have a stable coach, a coach that has been there for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, to be able to know that, look at the players, when they come back to the national team, there's a familiar face, there's a familiar system, they know what they are playing. When people go to their clubs, the clubs have a way that they play. So Nigeria should have a style of play. I don't think we have a style of play. So when the players come, it's almost like they're starting all over again. And of course, tournament football is short. 3 to 5 games, 6 to 7 games. So you don't have that time to get into a rhythm. So if there's no stability in there, then obviously there's no progression.
Now, looking at the caliber of opponents we have in the later stages of the tournament, what would be your own specific or tactical consideration to be employed, to keep the Super Eagles, in this game of the AFCON 2023?
Okay, so I think for me, you play who is in front of you. In our first game, we played a 5-4-1 formation against Equatorial Guinea. And of course, unfortunately, we lost Malasan Yusuf due to injury. But it was good to see that the coach realized that, okay, I can't play 5-4-1 against Ivory Coast. So I had to change tactics. So he changed to a 3-5-2, brought in wing backs to be able to nullify Ivory Coast wingers. And people will say that was a successful change because we won the game. But you have to be able to understand your opponent. Who are we playing against? What are their strengths? And then how can we as Nigeria nullify? Because we don't have our own game plan. So what we have to do is we have to come up with ways to stop the other team from doing what they do best.
All right, thank you so much for your time on the news. Osage Ekin here, as enthusiastic football analyst.
Thank you very much.
And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has vowed to chase criminals out of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. DR Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi to be sworn in for new term before huge crowd. And finally, we told you that Chad's new Prime Minister has promised elections will be held on time. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Abo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.